There are people who live two lives at once. The life you can see, their bodies sitting across from you, nodding, listening, smiling politely. And the life you can't see, the one happening entirely behind their eyes. They may look calm from the outside, even distant, even hard to read. But internally, their mind is a constantly shifting landscape of thoughts, connections, rewinds, replays, and imagined futures. They don't simply experience the world, they think through the world, sometimes so deeply that reality becomes secondary to the storm happening inside. You talk to them, and they drift for a moment. You ask what they're thinking, and they hesitate, not because they don't want to answer, but because they don't know which part of the internal monologue to reveal. And sometimes, none of it feels revealable. People like this live in their heads not out of preference, but out of habit, out of protection, out of a long-developed instinct that the inner world is safer, softer, or more controllable than the one outside. And if you've ever wondered why your mind feels like the place you spend more time in than anywhere else, this video is your quiet explanation. Why do some people retreat so deeply into their thoughts? And what exactly are they protecting themselves from? For many, living in the mind begins with a simple pattern. Thinking becomes easier than feeling. When faced with something overwhelming, a conflict, a disappointment, an unexpected emotional demand, the nervous system reacts not by expressing, but by retreating. Instead of confronting the moment directly, the mind starts constructing explanations, alternate scenarios, analyses. It becomes a refuge. This mental refuge grows gradually. Maybe it began with a childhood where emotions felt unsafe or unpredictable. Maybe expressing needs led to misunderstanding or mockery. Maybe home was loud, chaotic, or inconsistent, and the inner world became the only one that made sense. Over time, thinking becomes a form of emotional armor. By staying in their heads, these individuals avoid the discomfort of vulnerability, uncertainty, or the risk of being misunderstood. It's not that they don't want connection, they simply don't want to enter it unprotected. In friendships, they may seem distracted, even though they're deeply attuned. In relationships, they may care intensely, yet struggle to stay present when emotions rise. Within families, they may be seen as distant, even when the internal world is turbulent and full. Their mind becomes both their sanctuary and their shield. And the more they rely on it, the more automatic the retreat becomes. To understand this retreat, you have to look beneath the surface, into the formative years when emotional patterns were being built. A child who grows up analyzing instead of expressing is often a child who learned, consciously or not, that feelings are too much, too messy, too loud, too easily dismissed or punished. So they adapt. They begin to think through feelings instead of feeling them. They study people instead of trusting them. They watch the world more than they participate in it. And this adaptation, highly intelligent, highly protective, becomes the blueprint for adulthood. Now, when a partner asks, "What's wrong?" the instinct isn't to open up but to retreat into thought. When a friend expresses frustration, the mind jumps into analysis rather than presence. When life becomes overwhelming, the person goes inward, into a place where they can control the variables, edit the narrative, and predict the outcomes. But here's the paradox. What once kept them safe can also keep them isolated. Their mind becomes a house with many rooms, some comforting, some noisy, some heavy, some untouched. And they spend their days walking through those rooms, often unaware that they rarely step outside. The aha moment is this: living in your head is not a flaw. It's a strategy, a beautifully complex one, developed to navigate a world that once felt unpredictable or unsafe. It is not a sign of emotional coldness. It is not detachment. It is not disinterest. it is self-protection. People who live in their minds are not escaping the world because they reject it. They retreat because they feel everything too deeply. And thought becomes a filter that makes their emotional world more survivable. This is why their internal life is so vivid. Because it was built to hold what the outside world could not. So what do you do with this understanding? Not tips. Not quick solutions. Just recognition. If you're someone who lives primarily in your thoughts, notice the moments when your mind begins to pull you inward. Not to stop it, but to understand it. Ask yourself what emotion your thoughts are protecting you from. What moment feels too raw or too uncertain to stay with. This isn't about fixing anything. It's about noticing the doorway between your inner world and the outer one, the one you step through without realizing. Living in your head is a form of intelligence. But it is also a habit built from emotional scarcity. Recognizing that is the first step towards softening its grip. Not escaping your mind. Not shutting it down. Just returning, slowly, to the world outside of it. You don't have to abandon your inner world. It is a part of you, a finely built structure that kept you safe when nothing else could. But you also don't have to live there forever. There is a version of you that can move between both worlds, the depth of your mind and the reality around you, without feeling pulled apart by either one. And maybe the first step is simply understanding this truth. Your mind isn't your prison, it's a place you learn to live. And you can learn to return from it too.